This is breaking news from ThailandTV.news. Now all the Thailand news is in one place. The latest reports from around the clock and around the world. Breaking Thailand news from all the world's top news sources, translated into 11 languages and updated 24 hours a day. Here's Ali with more.
ThailandTV.news has it all. The latest news, weather and sports updates, plus up-to-the-minute events listings and fun things to do in Thailand. And that's not all. There's also entertainment, lifestyle, and travel news, including the latest visa information. If it's happening in Thailand, you'll find it here at ThailandTV.news.
It's all here at ThailandTV.news. All the latest news, weather, sports, they even cover ice hockey. It's all done at ThailandTV.news. Yes, it's all the Thailand news, all in one place.
This is Thailand's biggest night for hockey. This is Hockey Night in Thailand.
It is Sunday evening from Thailand International Ice Hockey Arena. My name is Adam Gottschalk, and Greg Beatty is with me as, well, can't say as always, but at least for the second consecutive week. Keith Mueller to my left. Greg, good to see you again. It means it's a Sunday, and it's no matter what the humid and hot weather might be doing outside, it's crisp and cool in here.
It is. Thanks, Adam. It's great to be here with you and Keith on a Sunday night. You know what? I find it a little bit... It's still cool, but it's a little bit warmer than normal. I'm just looking at the ice, and I don't see any wetness down there yet, but it doesn't look as hard as it could be. Well, and I'm wondering if that's going to be a big factor in tonight's game.
That is, we won't bury the lead. I mean, there's a big game that we're going to talk about momentarily. However, there's been a lot of hockey played in this building today. Some of the guys we're going to see on the ice have already played. We'll tell you about that as the broadcast goes along. However, you talk about ice conditions. We walked in earlier to a tournament that was still in the middle of being played. I mean, you know, look, it's a great arena. I'm glad it's getting use. But I think we may see some funny bounces, at least, after the amount of hockey that's been played on this ice today.
You're right, and speaking of funny bounces, we've got a couple of goalies in net tonight that haven't played for the last couple of weeks. So we have Gabor playing for KCG, and for the Lumberjacks,
Ben Kleinashay. So, with that being said, that is not the most classic way to introduce the matchup, but that is the matchup. It's KCG against LEXICON Lumberjacks. Number 1 versus number 2. It's the game that we are always anticipating this season. These two teams have separated themselves as the class of the league. Whether that's where they are when the year ends or not is obviously yet to be seen. There's a lot of hockey left, but KCG enters today 9-0-1 in first place, a plus 44 goal differential, and on an 8-game winning streak. LEXICON Lumberjacks, the only team to have defeated KCG this season. It was in overtime in, I guess, mathematically speaking, that would be week 3. LEXICON Lumberjacks 6-3-1. They've recovered from their 4-game swoon with a 2-game winning streak of their own. And for LEXICON Lumberjacks, if you're ever going to get KCG and start feeling pretty good about where your season's trending. Again, sometimes things change from when we see the lineup cards until the game's actually played. However, 61 in gray, the league's leading goal scorer, Jan Isaacson, is not penciled in as part of the. I mean, we saw him get hurt last week. He took a puck to the face, and I'm not sure whether he had his jaw broken or lost a few teeth, but pretty gnarly looking injury. We saw him after the game as he was leaving the arena, and it's the second time in 3 weeks that he's been hurt during a game above the neck. Either way, Jan Isaacson, Jesse Starasta, and Roman Laren, 3 of the big guns for KCG, not listed as being in the lineup today. They do get a couple of subs, Mankorn Sukwabun, who we see as one of the great players in this league, and Tom Price, both suiting up for KCG. But Lexicon Lumberjacks almost at full strength. I mean, everybody's missing somebody this time of year. If you're ever going to get them and knock off the big guys, it seems to be the week to do it, no?
This is the night to do it. You're right, and this is where the Lumberjacks can don't have to turn their season around, but they can really start to lessen the gap between them and KCG. So tonight, I think, is going to be a game of the subs. How are the subs going to affect tonight's team performances? Because although the subs might be star players themselves, it's how they play with their teammates that we have to watch.
You brought up the goalkeepers already, but this is obviously your domain as a guy who plays goal himself. Ben Kleinashe and Gabor Toth both playing for the 5th time this season. Numbers fairly equal. Gabor for KCG, the big Russian, 14 goals on 98 shots, 3.5 goals against, average and 86% on saves. Ben Kleinashe for Lexicon Lumberjacks, pretty similar, 85%, 4 goals against. Tell me about what you see from these two.
Okay, they're both very entertaining to watch. They're both capable of having very great games. Ben Kleinashe is younger. He's super fit. Gabor is, well, I'll say less fit, but you know what? He still moves very stealth. He's very quick. He knows where to position himself, and he's just an exciting guy to watch. And not only do you watch Gabor, but you listen to Gabor, because he's very vocal. He's a vocal performer out there on the ice. He's always yelling at his teammates. Fun guy to watch and to listen to.
So that's the matchup. KCG, Lexicon Lumberjacks. Give me a couple of keys for both sides in this hockey game.
Okay, so I think it's going to be which team is going to put their traffic in front of the other team's net. So it's all about being in the slot, ready to take a pass, ready to shoot the puck. It's about playing with a full bench, not just your first line. And as we said about the goalies, it's about not giving up a soft goal. These goalies haven't played for a while. They don't want to give up that soft goal because that's just going to break their confidence and break the team's confidence. So they've got to come out sharp.
It is always a pleasure to have you along with us on a Sunday, Thailand's biggest night for hockey. Adam Gottschalk and Greg Beatty and the crew. And this has been kind of the game that we've all been waiting for since the last time these two teams have played. For Lexicon Lumberjacks, a really streaky team so far this season. That can be good and it can be bad, but sometimes you see teams go on a run. I mean, we've seen this obviously in Siam Hockey League before, but if Lexicon Lumberjacks can go on a run, you'd like to see it start tonight. Obviously for KCG, you're going to be getting everyone's best shot from here on out. You put yourself out there as the #1 team in the league. You've got that 0 in the loss column, at least the regulation loss column still, and now missing a couple of key guys. This is a real gut check, toughness test for them. If they can survive this challenge, obviously you got to feel really good about yourself for KCG.
Absolutely, and I was in the dressing rooms before the game, and I didn't, to be honest with you, I didn't hear a whole lot of chatter, and I'm looking at the way the guys are warming up. They don't look like they're keyed up for the game, both teams. I mean, Gabor's just taking the net now. He was out there talking to the ref. Hopefully there's no payoff out there, but he was talking to the ref for a while. He's finally taking the net. Ben's in the net now. But Ben's in the net, but he's not getting any shots.
Look, I just wanted to, it's kind of, it's one of those things that you always hear people say, no, it doesn't matter. But it does matter. you play in a game after another game concludes, and you don't know what time it's going to start. It does take you out of your routine. I mean, obviously last week we were quite a bit delayed, almost an hour delayed. This week it's not quite so much. We're going to be getting this first game started within 10 minutes of scheduled start time, but you don't get your typical warm-ups on the ice. You don't really know what time you're coming out of the dressing room. Does that affect your preparation and readiness in any way, when it is kind of a variable start time?
Well, I can speak personally to that. Of course, the game is a physical game, but hockey is also a mental game. And I actually prepare for the game during the day, and certainly the hour before I get to the rink. And when I'm at the rink, I'm always rather quiet in the dressing room, not talking to other players, because I'm mentally preparing for the game, as the other guys should be as well.
So we are in for some fireworks. 3 of the top 5 scorers in the Siam Hockey League are going to be in this first game today, and actually it would be 4 of the 5 if it weren't for the absence. We'll say, I guess I can speculate and say injury, but the absence of Jan Isaacson. You still have Nick Lamson, who's now number 1 in the league in points, number 2 in goals. You have Brandon Vick, 5th in goals for KCG. That being said, with Isaacson out and Dom Vollenweider not playing in net today, how does that change your strategy for Lexicon Lumberjacks in attacking KCG? This is one of those that you'd say, in a typical game, maybe with the full Jesse Starosta, Jan Isaacson, Roman Lair, and firepower, you may need 6 or 7 goals to beat them. Today, what do you expect of this game? To me, I'm seeing maybe a 4-3, 5-4 type of hockey game, but what do you think?
It's going to be close. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised to see an upset tonight, because yes, KCG is in first place, but I wouldn't be surprised if tonight's the night they get a little dose of reality.
Well, I will say this: we do not play favorites up here, and I'm not rooting for any result. However, I'm very excited to see a really competitive hockey game, and I hope that that's what we get. We are just about ready to get underway. As you look at it on your TV screen, Lexicon Lumberjacks in the blue. They are in the opening period going to be moving from left to right. It's KCG in the gray moving from right to left. Here's Lexicon Lumberjacks. Quick shot snapped at the net from Ken Kinborn. That's something I have a feeling we're going to be saying quite a bit today. That one goes wide, and it is just like that. We are underway, and no time wasted before the game's first scoring opportunity. Here's Brandon Vick, 16 points on the year, top 5 in the league, carrying it in for KCG, but he's stripped of the puck. And Lexicon Lumberjacks will bring it back. Neutral zone play, how big is that today when you think about both teams and how effective they are when they have possession in the offense?
Well, they got to use the ice surface. This is a big ice surface, and they got to control the puck, pass the puck. So it's very important.
Oh man, that was lost. That's not going to be a goal. That was kept out, but that's blind luck as Gabor Toth couldn't find it. Positioning save. It was sort of off his blocker, in between the blocker and the body, and ends up down underneath his pad, and he didn't see it, but it stayed out of the goal. And on the scoreboard, it's just a 0-0 game as a centering pass to nobody, and KCG trying to quickly counterpunch. A couple of substitutions. If you are watching this at home and you're curious who doesn't match up with your roster, which, by the way, if you do want rosters, you're always welcome to find it at cmhockeyleague.com. That's where I get my information from to prepare for our broadcasts. But substitutions in this game for KCG, number 5 and number 12, that's Mancorn and Price. Here's a takeaway. Alex Phelps slings one towards the middle where it's intercepted. So Sukwabun is in 5, Price is in 12, and then for Lexicon Lumberjacks, it's Brett Ferguson wearing jersey number 8. Running clock. Man, I just looked up at the clock. I was like, oh, we got to be at least 5 minutes into this game. There's been so much happening so far. We're not even we just hit the 2-minute mark. And already only 3 official shots registered, but even more than that towards the cage. Here is Bohr throwing one towards the goalkeeper, Kleinachet, just looking to create a rebound, but Kleinachet confidently spears that with his catching glove, then flings it into the corner to restart with Justin Saint-Denis, the Lumberjacks captain. Threads a pass to the middle. That was nicely blocked. Shaknovsky was the one who teed that one up, but getting in front of it Well, we get a couple of guys back in the lineup. I'm going to tell you about that momentarily for KCG. Some names you haven't heard in quite a while. That was a nifty little toe drag, and that's going to lead to a penalty. Nick Lampson just creates a power play for KCG, and with that, let's take a look at Lampson's KCG teammates and the away team roster. There it is. I'm not going to try and actually narrate this. They go so fast on the bottom of the screen. If I try, I'd sound like an auctioneer if I actually tried to read them out to you. First power play of the game. With the running clock 17 minutes in each period, the power play clock also runs 2.5.
I think that was Brett Ferguson who got the penalty, and it's his first SHL game. He's in from Vancouver.
Hey, he's on the stat sheet. Even if it's a him. Lexicon Lumberjacks. There's Kinborn trying to get ahead of everybody. Kinborn, nice stick handling, and he shoots and scores! What a goal from Kinborn over the left shoulder pad of Gabor Toth. That is a brilliant goal from Kinborn, and it's a shorty for Lexicon Lumberjacks.
Wow, that's shaking things up. A shorthanded goal on a breakaway. Beautiful goal by Ken Kinborn. Nice shot.
You know, you saw him holding that puck so far from his body. It was not a breakaway in the sense that he was personally farther than the defense. The puck was. That's the reach and puck control that he had. Brilliant play from Kinborn. And now back the other way, here is Ichiro Hara back in the lineup. There's one of the guys I was just telling you about who's missed some time for KCG, but he's back today. 28 and 29, both on the ice now. Hara and Christoph Onlicker, both guys that we have not seen in quite some time. Onlicker, 6 assists in only 4 games played this year. So that's a nice boon for KCG to get him back in the lineup.
Absolutely. Yep.
Down to 1 minute left on the power play. So far, the only shot registered was from the shorthanded team, Lexicon Lumberjacks, and it was a goal that was nearly going to be an offsides. Instead, here's Hara from Limpinpet. Hara tries to return the favor, but it is poke-checked away, and now another breakaway opportunity. Promtong, although no numbers, and he'll just run some clock, keep it behind the cage, and try and forecheck to keep possession while shorthanded and run off some more penalty kill time. One last charge perhaps on this power play. It's been a bit disjointed from KCG, the league's best team, but trailing 1-0 on the scoreboard after giving up a shorthanded goal. They can quickly score, though. We've seen it so often this year. Here's Phelps teeing one up, looking for a deflection, but it slides through untouched and wide of the cage. Behind the net, this is Stoddart with it. Second line on the power play out there. 6 seconds, now 5, and this will officially, no matter what happens here, it's power play's over, back to 5 aside. Phelps tees up, that one blocked, and straight out of the penalty box is Ferguson. Ferguson has it, shoots, and wide of the cage. So his first SHL game, it looks to be a lefty shot. That's first thing I can tell you about the scouting report. Now 1 shot and 2.5 minutes of penalty time. That's the statistics in game number 1 for Ferguson. We are already I say already, actually feels like more. 6.5 minutes into the game, 10 minutes, 40 seconds left. Back and forth we go. And here for KCG, that was Mancorn Sukwabun. Can you tell me, Greg, a little bit about Mancorn's day today? Because this is pretty wild. Even for a guy who plays a lot of hockey, you know, he won't join a team because he wants to be able to substitute sometimes back-to-back games of a doubleheader. That's intense enough. What he did today is even crazier. Meanwhile, pass towards the middle is covered on a nice play from Gabor Toth. That was a pretty good scoring opportunity right there, and you see the glove raised as if to say, hey, thanks for finding me with that beautiful pass. That was Arola who had that look.
Well, back to Mancorn. By the end of today, he'll have 5 hours of hockey under his belt, 5 hours of competitive hockey. He played 3 games already. He's playing this game, and he plays the next game.
When you say 5 hours of hockey, this was a tournament that was going on before this, is that right? And
yes.
He played in 3 games in the tournament, and he's in the lineup for the second game today after this one.
Yep. 5 hours of hockey, competitive hockey.
Is he taking like hyperbaric chamber treatments between the games or something just to keep the oxygen up?
We'll just think about his pregame meals. He's had 5 of them.
I got tired driving to the arena. As Keith says, I wasn't even driving. I was just a passenger. That one offsides. Let's, with that whistle, get a chance to have a look. I was told we already. Look, it goes so fast. Again, I mean, I looked down at the screen. I mean, we saw the lineup. It was just we flash it up there like one of those memory tests, right?
It's just to get them in there. They can rewind them and read them if they want to.
Face-off is outside of the offensive end for KCG. It's won by Lexicon Lumberjacks, and Promtong has it in the corner. Roger Promtong, 2 goals this season for the young right winger. Still carrying, but had it taken away, and now KCG back. It's a 1-0 Lexicon Lumberjacks lead. The goal scored earlier in this game by Ken Kinborn on a short-handed breakaway. Here's Nick Lampson, fires! That one ripped high. Man, Lampson, he plays angry. He's right now the leading point scorer in the SHL, and he's been on a tear the last few games. I would imagine with Isaacson out, it does put a bit more pressure on Lampson to have a big one today.
Yeah, and it looks like his wingman is Dave Bohr, and Dave's very good at setting up the passes, so I suspect he's going to get a few points tonight, Nick Lampson.
Lampson tried to corral that centering pass, but ends up tripping over a stick. No whistle, and probably correctly so. And puck now just in the corner where it'll be whistled towards the cage by Adam Williams, but that one misses wide. It still hasn't been touched out of the zone yet, but now it has. Tell me your impressions now, the first 9.5 minutes of this hockey game.
Well, I think it's all Lumberjacks. I mean, they've got... Oh, they almost got another one there.
Gorgeous save by Toth reading that one. Yeah, sorry, continue.
So they've got 6 shots to 3, so they're doubling up the shots. The KCG hasn't really tested Ben yet. He's had 3 shots, but none of them have been great shots. So it's all Lumberjacks right now.
Justin Saint-Denis, the Lexicon Lumberjacks captain, takes and wins the faceoff. And now it's going to be a battle of forechecking for Lexicon Lumberjacks, and won by KCG, and Ichiro Hara, who's on the left wing wearing 28, back in the lineup. And Hara digging for it, but lost control. Back and forth we go. Kimarola with Saint-Denis and Kinborn. That is Kinborn with it on his stick, but a nice defensive play by Tom Price, who poke checks that one away. Tom Price, who, rumor has it, used to sell maple syrup.
Yes, of course, maple syrup's famous in Canada, and he used to sell it, and I probably had some of what he was distributing, because I eat a lot of maple syrup on the pancakes, on my cereal, on the bananas. I love maple syrup.
That is, that's not cliche at all. That's one of those pregame notes that Greg told me about before we went on the air. Every once in a while, we get some of those from either, some of the guys with the league. Sorry, ahead of the pack now. Little breakaway opportunity for Sukwabun. Mancorn has that one deflected away. Nice stick check from Kleinische, the goalkeeper. Back towards the middle, looking for a Vic deflection on a centering pass. And he did get his stick on it, but not enough, and kept into the line. Gorgeous play there from Price. Speaking of number 12 in gray, I got to work out, if he scores today, I got to work out some maple syrup themed goal call. I will tell you right now, I don't have one yet, so give me some time. If he scores first, you got to make that call, Greg.
Okay. I might make a little cheat with some Google here. I've got my phone.
We'll ask our viewers to leave it in the comments. Maybe they can come up with one.
Hey, that's very social media savvy. Williams has his stick hit as he got that shot away, and it actually ends up working in his favor as the puck deflects on a bounce to Q Prasop, who tried to tuck that one in. Q Prasop, we've seen him really buzzing around the cage a few times. It surprises me to look at the score sheet and see no goals this year. You get the feeling he is due.
He is due, and he's in front of the net, and I said one of the keys to the game is getting your men in front of the net.
Face-off won briefly by Lexicon Lumberjacks, but stolen away by Nick Lampson. Has the puck taken off his stick, and now quickly to counterpunch. There's that man-Q press up, but Phelps beats him to it. It's been a lot of skating, but not a lot of shots the last few minutes here in this hockey game. Both teams still feeling each other out. Lampson, that's going to be whistled for an offsides. They say Bohr was in ahead of the play on the far side. 4 minutes remaining, opening period, 1-0 Lexicon Lumberjacks, our score here from Bangkok.
Yeah, Dave was one step too quick there. He doesn't usually go offside, but the linesman caught him that time.
Never seen this water you brought us before. Vivalka. This is delicious water, Keith. Like, this is a...
We spare no expense here at Hockey Night in Thailand.
Well, it's the first time you brought me water all year, but it's still, this is really, sometimes you forget that there's a difference in bottled waters, and I've praised Tim Hortons enough. Maybe this is my Vivalka broadcast. Phelps intercepts the pass. It'll be a very surprising number if you look at the scoreboard and you see 4 shots registered in the first 14 minutes from KCG, but they would really like to find some, let's say, couple of offensive sets just to feel good about themselves at the end of this period. KCG usually, number 1 in the league in goals scored this year by a ton. 67 of them, in fact. Plus 44 margin for the league's number 1 team. Stick handling, nifty play from Lampson, but it's poked away by Kinborn. That matchup is going to be fun to watch. Kinborn against Lampson one-on-one. Both of them trying to get past each other. 2 of the best players in the league.
Yeah, that's a great matchup. And, of course, Ken Kinborn won that one there.
There's Saint-Denis with it, elbow right side. Looks for the centering pass. It goes through Arola under his stick, and KCG will come back. That was Lim Pinpet chasing after it. The pass a little bit too far. And now some tic-tac-toe. Everybody somehow on sides. Taken right back. Here's KCG. It's Lim Pinpet alongside Sukwibun. And Mancorn gives it back to Lim Pinpet, where it is shot off the goalkeeper. I think Brandon Vick had more time than he realized as he turned around, floated one into the breadbasket of Kleinische. And I understand, you're spinning. You see the puck, and you're only about 10 feet away from the goal. But there was nobody near him, and I think if he'd settled that down, he might have had a chance to get a better shot away, but It's easy for us to say up here.
Well, he was a little rushed, and of course, he's already got 101 points in the league. He reached that threshold, the 100-point threshold, 2 weeks ago, and he picked up another point last week, so he's 101 points in his SHL career. That's Brendan Vick.
Justin Saint-Denis, I believe, also reached the 100-point threshold this season for his SHL career. This one onside. Lim Pinpet looks for the centering pass as he feeds one through the crease. And hey, this is what we have. Some Santa came early this year. Tim Hortons delivery from our friend Scott Murray. Good luck in the second game today, Scott.
There's 5 of them there, so I'll get
60 seconds remaining in the opening period, and I am my mouth is salivating as we get ready to take our very brief break. I don't know if it's going to be a donut length break, but either way, just a quick reminder to our network affiliates, it will not be a donut length break for you because this is going to be your break coming up. So if you are riding the boards for us, wherever you may be in studio, first of all, thank you so much for all your hard work. Second of all, your break coming next. Offsides, Lexicon Lumberjacks face-off will come out to the neutral zone.
I hate to say it, Adam, but there's no bacon on these donuts.
I know. I'm shocked that won us over. Both of us.
It won you over. Not us. It won you over. That was the maple and bacon.
Did you not even try it?
No, I didn't even want to look at it.
My girlfriend came later last week, and I had half of that sitting in front of me, and she took it and tried it, and I'm much more inclined to like things like that. She loved it too. And that will be the last word of the opening period. And back with the second next. 1-0 Lexicon Lumberjacks over KCG. This is Hockey Night in Thailand.
This is breaking news from ThailandTV.news. Now all the Thailand news is in one place. The latest reports from around the clock and around the world. breaking Thailand news from all the world's top news sources, translated into 11 languages and updated 24 hours a day. Here's Ali with more.
ThailandTV.news has it all. The latest news, weather and sports updates, plus up-to-the-minute events listings and fun things to do in Thailand. And that's not all. There's also entertainment, lifestyle, and travel news, including the latest visa information. If it's happening in Thailand, you'll find it here at ThailandTV.news.
It's all here at ThailandTV.news. All the latest news, weather, sports, they even cover ice hockey. It's all done at ThailandTV.news. Yes, it's all the Thailand news, all in one place.
And we're back.
One nothing Lexicon Lumberjacks our score at the end of one, and we begin the second 17-minute period with the team switching sides. Lexicon Lumberjacks in the blue with the puck moving right to left. There's Omelka who carried it in right off the opening face-off of the second. No shot away. Adam Gottschalk, Greg Beatty, and Keith Mueller and the entire crew here. Greg, your thoughts on the opening period? Quite an entertaining, let's say, first 8 minutes. Then it became like two boxers circling each other for the rest of that one.
Yeah, you know, I'm surprised the shots are total at 8 apiece. So if you look at just the scoreboard, it's 1-0, 8 shots apiece. It seems like it's a pretty close game. But I still think the Lumberjacks outplayed KCG in that one. But it's a whole new period here. Each period can be different than the previous one, so we'll have to see what unfolds here in the second period.
So far, both goalkeepers pretty solid in net. Kleinashe for Lexicon Lumberjacks and Gabor Toth for KCG. Both same statistics, 7 saves on 8 shots faced. Again, if you are just tuning in, it's running clocks, 17-minute periods. We are looking forward to the second game as well. Siam, Mandalay, and Aware coming up after this as we see Tom Stasny stretching and doing some puck handling drills just to our right. So if you hear some tapping, it's the stick handling from the Siam Mandalay star getting ready for the second game. There's a shot from Arola that goes wide. I don't think Kim Arola registered an official shot on net in the first period. That's the third shot I remember him taking, but all of them have missed wide. There's an icing call. I expect that is not the last we're going to hear of Kim Arola today. He won't end the game with a 0 on the stat sheet in terms of official shots on net. 10 goals, 8 assists. The Lexicon Lumberjacks center, one of the league's most dynamic players. You see him on the ice right now wearing number 28 in blue.
Yep, he's a point getter, and we'll have to watch what he does here in the second period.
It'll be the commissioner, John Shaknovsky, in the face-off circle for the guys in blue. Lampson opposite. It's Shaknovsky who, well, that one kind of ends up off to the side. I would say neither of them get credit for an official win. Lampson chasing after it, snaps a shot away, and it's kicked aside by Toth. What a play from Nick Lampson, who will corral that one, keep control, fire one towards the cage where it is pushed aside. What an individual effort from Lampson trying to get KCG back to an even game. 1-0 our score. It is just shy of 3 minutes into the second period, and we have another icing call.
Yeah, you know, sometimes, Adam, when you focus on the players who are most important to your team when they aren't on the ice, when they're on the injury list, as is the case with Jan Isaacson and Jesse Starosta. You notice the value of those players when they are out of the lineup.
Face-off won by Vic, and there's a shot that's deflected by Vic beautifully, but somehow Kleinashe keeps the pads squeezed and makes the save on a puck that was deflected about 3 feet in front of him. Beautiful play. Kleinashe in the right position, not panicking, and he stays down to the ice. Another face-off win for KCG, this time Lim Pinpet back to the blue line where it's held in. Still 1-0, Lexicon Lumberjacks leading. KCG starting to buzz, but they'll have to come back out and reset, as that was pretty nice defensive play from Ferguson. You know, he's been, again, for a guy in his first game in the SHL today, Brett Ferguson has had his name called a lot of times. He's got a few shots, he's made a few nice defensive plays, and he's got a couple of penalty minutes. So pretty nice effort. There's a shot on net from Arola. What did I say? He wouldn't end with 0. Golden opportunity, but a nice save from Toth.
Yep, Gabor came out big on that play.
Here is Anlicker, 29 in gray. Back to the blue line. That shot sails wide. Another opportunity that's off the shoulder pads of Kleinashe. That shot was from Mancorn. Only his 4th game of the day. He's still got one more to go. Kinborn fighting for that one, wins the fight, but a little bit too close to the goal to actually get a shot away. Still, Ken Kinborn just will not stop fighting. What an individual effort from Ken Kinborn. I think he single-handedly held possession while the rest of his teammates executed a line change, or they just weren't out there.
Amazing. He just outmuscled them for about 30 seconds there.
Shakhnovsky plays it along. It's Brett Ferguson. I guess it wasn't a line change. Same guy's out there. There's a shot whistled just high. That was Pim Jarat Woody Prida looking for goal number 5, but he missed just above the crossbar. Lexicon Lumberjacks with the game's first goal and probably the best scoring opportunity in the second period just now as well. That one kicked aside. That's a save from Toth on the shot that was probably not everything on that one. I think if Pim could do that one again, he probably would have been happier if he'd got that one a little bit higher off the ground. But either way, a reset now. Here's Denis Omelka carrying in. He's got Hugh Prasop with him and Hong Swati. It's Hong Swati right in the middle. Fire! Save!
Nice save.
Toth stayed low, got his foot or blocker pad on it and keeps it out. But another golden opportunity. Now KCG looking to counterpunch. Bohr had it taken off his stick, and it's back to the defensive line, and Alistair Fawcett gives it back to Bohr, but taken away. And here's Pim. He's got Q Prasop with him. He'll go off for a line change, and that one is going to just trickle back towards Kleinashe's net. I was waiting for the rest of the team to join him and change, but they're all still out there. It's only one guy was able to get to the bench. The rest of the Lexicon Lumberjacks line has been out there for a long time.
Yeah, like we said last week, normally they should try for 1-minute shifts, and they got to be like, homing pigeons. When that 1 minute's up, they got to be looking at the bench and getting there.
Joe Seavey sees a wide open Shakhnovsky, but the pass was behind him. And Shakhnovsky's centering pass is intercepted. Now 2-on-2. Lampson leading the break back the other way. Omelka dives to the ice. He may get a call there for a trip. And there's the arm going into the air. It's a delayed penalty. Next time Lexicon Lumberjacks touches it, it will be a call. But in the meantime, goalkeeper Toth skates to the bench. 6-on-5. Puck, Fawcett can't hold it into the blue line. He'll chase it back. But still has not been touched by Lexicon Lumberjacks, so no whistle. Doesn't that scare you when there's nobody in net and the defensive player is just kind of skating in front of that empty cage?
Yeah, if you're a spectator and you don't know much about hockey, you're wondering, why is there no goalie in the net now?
There's a whistle finally, and the 2-minute 30-second clock will go onto the board. We'll wait and see who the call was on, but I think that's Denis Omelka skating over towards the penalty bench, and it is. So Omelka off for Lexicon Lumberjacks.
Well,
and this is the first power play of the day for KCG.
This is their opportunity to get back on the scoreboard, and it's face-offs in the Lexicon end zone, so let's see what happens.
Christoph Anlicker has it at the blue line. Feeds one towards the middle looking for Limpinpet, but that was deflected back out to neutral. I said I was incorrect. I said this is the first power play of the day for KCG. It's not. It was a short-handed goal for Lexicon Lumberjacks, not a power play goal that they scored earlier in this one. So far, let's say one power play was a disaster for KCG. Vic very nearly had a wide-open look at an empty cage there, but nice job from Kleinashe getting over to close the door. Still stays in the offensive end for KCG. That puck hits that was Arola who was standing there and got hit up high, but I guess seems to be okay. and it is cleared. So power play time down to 90 seconds left. It's Omelka in the box, 24 for blue, and that's intercepted. Little pass was a little bit lazy. Ken Kinborn, the man who scored the shorty, looking for another one, and Toth holds his pipe.
Yeah, he just about got his second shorthanded goal, Ken Kinborn, but Toth made a nice save.
I know you were saying that maybe it's something in the air, maybe it's the fact that the game was a few minutes behind, maybe it's the ice, whatever it was. You felt like what you saw before the game was not the focus or energy that you'd expect to see before a big game between number 1 and number 2. There's a 2-on-0, and that one off the side of the net, a little slow developing, and Anliker was just almost at the goal line, so he couldn't quite get that one off. So what I was saying is that, you know, you mentioned before the game that the guys didn't quite look as energetic as you'd expect. I think we can probably safely say at this point that does not apply to Ken Kinborn. He is everywhere in this game.
Well, he and Nick Lamson are probably the two best players on the ice so far tonight. But most of the guys are playing a little bit sloppy.
And this power play is about to be over as well, as Lexicon Lumberjacks has Kinborn another. That's his third shorthanded scoring chance in this hockey game. Power play over, back to 5 aside. Omelka skates on, and he'll immediately go towards the bench for a line change. We have a whistle. I'm not sure what that call is going to be. Two guys collided. They both fell to the ice. It's going to be against KCG. It'll be a Lexicon Lumberjacks power play. I'm not sure. Did you see what would have caused one of those guys to get called and the other one not to?
You know what, Adam? I didn't. That was, you know, I'll call that a controversial call because it wasn't that obvious.
The only thing I can think is maybe an interference if he held the guy onto the ice and didn't allow him to get up again. But either way, I mean, again, we're not down there. The officials work really hard. And hey, speaking of working really hard, that's not my best segue. It's been a long day. Speaking of working hard, I have been in the studio all day today working on our next release coming out Tuesday for OTR. If you haven't checked this out yet, please do. YouTube.com/OTR on the road. Thai history, culture. Nick Lamson looking for a breakaway. Lamson did not get that one past Kleinische, but the two of them collided and the goal comes off its moorings.
Yep, and then it looked like Nick got his stick caught in the goalie skate there.
Either way, thank you so much for all of your support for what we do with OTR, and of course, that goes to our television partner, Thailand TV, both for our OTR broadcasts and our presentations of Siam Hockey League and Hockey Night in Thailand. 1 minute and 50 seconds remaining on the power play. It's a Lexicon Lumberjacks power. That looked like the way those two guys stood up straight. I thought for a moment I was watching an NHL game and that was about to be some fisticuffs.
Well, with Dave Bohr, that's always a possibility. But going back to your OTR, Adam, I did see your latest video, which was on Burmese food. What's the next one on?
So the next one is kind of a funny one. We had an idea of going to a night market, talking a little bit about the history of night markets and how that works. And a good friend of mine who has a pretty big food television program. It's a YouTube channel, but also they're on national television in India. A guy who I was friends with about for the last 12, 15 years in China. He calls me that day and he says, "Hey, I decided to change my flight route. I'm going to do a one-night layover in Bangkok. Where are you?" So I said, "Well, why don't you come join me?" So he came along, and this guy's a pretty good food television host himself, and he came along, and he, as soon as we were there, I felt so guilty about taking him to a night market, because, you know, it wasn't supposed to be about how great the food was. So we had one adult beverage and left, and then we went for jungle curry, which is his favorite Thai food up in Nonthaburi, and then that's the entire show. We just filmed us a couple of guys who both gave up good careers to do nothing but cook or eat or talk about food, and He was an investment banker. I was a journalist, and both of us ended up in the food space. And so, yeah, that's what it is. It ended up being a couple hours of the two of us sitting there and having a conversation over jungle curry. And tell you what, editing that into an entertaining video today, that was not easy. I'm still not 100% sure we're there, but something will go online on Tuesday. The one the following week is going to be a really good one. I'll tell you about that next week. Anyway, Shakhnovsky on the face-off as the power play's over. Thank you for asking, by the way. I hope you enjoyed the Myanmar one.
I did, and the one before that too, which was in
on Klong Doi.
Klong Toi, yes.
That's
the gourmet food in Klong Toi.
Whistle and offsides called. Not really happy with that was Saint Denis, but
yeah, and that's unusual for him because he is the comedian on the ice, right? He's yes, you didn't. He's
yes, he does. Runs a stand-up every Wednesday night at the Live Lounge in Bangkok.
But most of his jokes could not be repeated on the air.
I learned. I need to start. So okay, I keep these boards, right. Back when I used to do, NFL games, right. My boards would be the size of your table because you have to have so many notes on the guys, but it's all so easily accessible, right? But every time I do a game with you, with Scott Murray, with Lance Parker, they've got these crazy stories about everything. There's one guy who used to smuggle antiques. I mean, I'm just hearing all these crazy stories about people that I need to start probably recording these.
Well, that guy is on the ice right now, and that's Gabor. He's as a 3 or 4 year old, I'm serious, as a 3 or 4 year old, he used to wear a trench coat and smuggle antiques between Azerbaijan and Hungary. But
I mean, it's a great hockey game. I'm happy to watch this. That is so much more entertaining than anything that I've said so far. I mean, I would rather hear Justin Saint Denis do a stand-up routine about a guy selling maple syrup and Gabor Toth smuggling antiques into or out of Hungary. I mean, to me, that's something that I would watch on my Sunday. We got another penalty call coming here. This one's going against Lexicon Lumberjacks. This is the first game this year that I have seen that I have felt was probably being called a little tightly. But that's a lot of ticky-tack fouls as far as we can see. It's Mancorn going off. As the clock ticks down to the last 30 seconds of the period, by the way, to our network affiliates, please remember. I know, I was shocked too. Keith hands me this card, and I'm expecting it to be something else, and it says last 60 seconds of the period. That flew by. I think none of us expected, with these two teams playing, that it would be potentially a 1-0 game after 34 minutes, but that's what we're staring at here, depending on the results of this coming KCG power play. And so far, the only goal in the game was a short-handed one from Lexicon Lumberjacks. Here's Lim Pinpet chasing after. He's got a breakaway if he gets there first. Lim Pinpet very nearly created one himself, and there's a whistle. The period's over. It doesn't matter that the goal was off its moorings, and that lets us step aside. I cannot wait for this third period. 1-0. Lexicon Lumberjacks looking to pull the stunner over KCG. We've got 17 massive minutes still to come. This is Hockey Night in Thailand. Adam Gottschalk and Greg Beatty, along with Keith Mueller and the crew from Bangkok, Thailand. 2 minutes and 6 seconds showing on the power play time remaining for Lexicon Lumberjacks. Sorry, for KCG. It is it's Kinborn. I think the scoreboard is incorrect. This is a power play. We've got 5 guys out there for Lexicon Lumberjacks. It was 5 in. It's Mancorn for KCG who's off. That was somehow not a goal. Lampson on the goal line. So it's a power play for Lexicon Lumberjacks. Scoreboard's incorrect, whatever, just trust me. Anyway, it is a 1-0 Lexicon lead, and that one was almost 2-0. I mean, centimeters away from the outside post.
Yeah, that was just such a powerful shot. It sneaked through Gabor's arm, but it stayed out of the net.
Oh, I see the scoreboard. So that's the... Anyway, doesn't matter. We'll figure it out. That one snapped high. Kinborg, who is the only goal scorer in this game today, missed with that one. And a whiff on the shot opportunity, the shot pass opportunity from Peem. Trying to get a deflection, turns it over. Lampson has it. 1-0 our score. Lexicon Lumberjacks leading KCG. If Lexicon is able to win this one, they'll move to 7-3-1, and they'll come back to within 2 games in the standings, 4 standings points of KCG, the number 1 team. Is a beautiful move from Promtong by himself. Promtong created some space but did not get the backhanded shot away. Instead, there's Kinborn who will rifle one, blocked up front and taken back by KCG. So, 37 seconds remaining in the penalty. 1-0 our score. Lexicon Lumberjacks are going to feel a whole lot better if they can cash this one in and go up 2-0. There's Promtong, and he gets the shoulder pad of Toth. Puck still loose in front, not cleared yet, but it ends up on Phelps' stick, who will try and carry it out, and he does get blue line. 16 seconds left. Phelps for KCG is going to try and run out as much of that clock as he can. Centering pass, that was turned over. Limpinpet had it on his stick, and it is put home by Vic. And we have a tie game, a turnover from Kleinashe, and now we have an all-new hockey game.
Well, like I said, one of the keys to the game is getting your men in front of the net, and that's where Vic was. And he just popped it in there with an easy shot, and bang, we're tied at 1 piece.
Statistically speaking, I don't know when that crossed the goal line, but we might have a shorthanded goal for KCG, which would make this two goals in the game, both of them shorthanded. If it is, it was the last 1 second of it. If it was shorthanded, it really didn't affect. It wasn't a breakaway or anything like that. But still, I think statistically speaking, we've got 2 goals in the game, both shorthanded. There's a shot snapped at Kleinashe. Rebound was juicy for Vic for a second, but Kleinashe is able to get down and keep it out. That was Mancorn who got that first shot attempt away.
Well, I'll tell you, this next 14 minutes is going to be really exciting. One game, 1 point apiece.
If you are just tuning in, KCG, the league's best team, on the ropes for much of this hockey game, but please remember they're playing this one without one of their better defensemen, Roman Laren, without their captain, Jesse Starasta, and without perhaps the league's best player in Jan Isaacson. There's Limpinpet with it for KCG, and Liquor holds the line, fires one towards the cage. He wasn't trying to necessarily shoot that one, I think, as much as get a deflection. We have a whistle, and I guess it might have touched the netting above the glass.
Yep, and I always comment on the goalies, and here we have 22 shots to 19, and it's a one goal apiece. Both goalies are playing really well, which is good to see, and it's keeping the game interesting and very tight.
Every single time that there's a tight hockey game, that's offsides. Just a lazy play. Joe Seavey, he slams his stick into the ice. He knows he messed up by not racing back out of. I don't think he knew that his teammate had collected that puck and was coming in with it. What I was saying, though, is that every time there's an offensive zone face-off in a tight game for KCG, I flash back to one of the great, maybe the best play I've seen this season doing these games, when Brandon Vick won the face-off to himself, took about half a step and not only scored a goal on a wrist shot, but maybe the hardest wrist shot that I've seen this year in this league. That was a dynamite play, and that just shows you how many ways that KCG can score.
Yeah, especially Brandon Vick. I mean, he's always a threat, and that's why he has 102 points in his SHL career.
So, 1-1, KCG a goal on 22 shots. Lexicon Lumberjacks a goal on 19 shots. We are down to 12 minutes remaining in regulation of what has been a dramatic hockey game. I wouldn't necessarily say it has felt that tense to this point, but I think we're getting to that point now. It's been a very wide open game to this stage. Really, since the first half of the first period, most of this game's been played between the two blue lines. But now, with 11 and a half minutes remaining in a 1-1 white knuckler, anything can happen from here, and that'll start with Dennis Omelka carrying in for Lexicon Lumberjacks. Saint Denis was charging towards the cage. What a pass! And what a goal from Kim Arola! And just like that, the Lumberjacks have the lead back. What did I say when Kim Arola at the end of the first period did not have an official shot on net? I said he will be heard from before this game is over. Goal number 11 this year for the talented center.
Well, if this game stays close and low scoring, that might be the game winner.
KCG has the ability to score in bunches, though. We've seen it so many times this year. And this one's certainly not over by any stretch. That one intercepted. Here's Vic looking for a centering pass, but Arola got a stick in the passing lane and takes it back. Kinborn not able to gain the line, and puck stays out at neutral ice. There's a pass that is able to catch Mancorn in stride. Shot goes high. Not sure that was deflected. I think he just didn't get all of it. Vic has it at the end line, looking for somewhere to go, and ends up taken away. And Roger Promptong, no numbers. It's 2-on-2 coming back. Promptong, nifty, dangle, stick handling towards the middle. He wanted the deflection. Puck still loose in front, and a turnaround shot from Hong Zwadi goes off of the goalkeeper Toth. We have a delayed penalty call coming up against Lexicon Lumberjacks. Limpinpet towards the cage, and there's the touch-up from Arola, and we'll get a power play for, okay, so I was saying before that I thought this game was over-officiated, called too tightly. Not that one. That was a legitimate call. From up here, that one looked like it was a little bit late that we saw the hand go up. It could have been whistled on a touch-up before that. Yep. That being said, it was the correct call, and KCG will get a power play for the next 2.5 minutes, maybe make or break.
I think for sure the penalties that have been called tonight were not malicious, that's for sure.
Phelps fires. He gets a deflection from Stoddard, but it's held by Kleinische.
But that was a more obvious penalty on that one, yes.
So, with 9 minutes left, KCG, who has trailed almost throughout this game, now finds themselves down by a goal again. That one whistled around the end boards and cleared. The first goal of the game was a Lexicon Lumberjacks goal shorthanded on a KCG power play. The last KCG man advantage was the best they've had in this one in terms of scoring chances, but still no goals officially registered on it. Their goal was shorthanded too. Power play on the penalty to Q Prasop. It's Korn Q Prasop who gets the call. It was holding. It's the official signal. We have 90 seconds remaining. Lexicon Lumberjacks trying to run some clock.
Yeah, Brett Ferguson was doing a good job of that, killing the penalty, just holding onto the puck and skating slowly, and that's all he had to do.
Adam Williams, the defenseman for Lexicon Lumberjacks, with the running clock. I would say more than in any other phase of the game, it benefits penalty killers because it changes your strategy. You just want to force face-offs. If you can't control and run clock yourself just by skating, then even forcing a face-off, you see 15, 20, 30 seconds elapse off the clock, and just like that, even with 2.5 instead of 2 minutes, the power plays go by in no time.
Well, the big ice surface is like a sixth player sometimes. You got to know how to use the ice surface. Pass the puck, ice the puck, kill the penalty, skate around, and that's what we're seeing here.
Oh, right. Well, look, it may not feel like it because this game has just zipped by, but we have 7 minutes and 10 seconds left, a 2-1 game, Lexicon Lumberjacks trying to upset KCG, and this is going to be a whale of a finish. 15 seconds remaining in the power play. Phelps looking for a deflection, gets one from Ichiro Hara, but it goes high and wide. KCG still maintains possession, but with that turnover, power play over, Justin Saint Denis will cross the blue line and maintain possession. You saw Saint-Denis. He's a smart player. He looked up. He knew the power play was running down. As soon as he had that puck on his stick, he thought, can I spring Q press up for a breakaway? But it was about 4 seconds before the power play was over. What a move from Ken Kinborn, saved by Gabor Toth. Save of the game for Toth, and perhaps saving the game too.
Beautiful save.
Kinborn, second time we've said this, he created his own breakaway just by being quicker than anybody else on the ice.
And Gabor held his position well and made the save.
6 minutes remaining in this one. 2-1 Lexicon Lumberjacks over KCG. And time quickly running out on the league's #1 ranked team. Although, as we said, we've seen them, they have 67 goals. They have 26 more goals coming into this game than any other team in the SHL. Here's Hara. Hara, beautiful pass, and an even better save from Kleinashe as he gets down to Rob Limpinpet. Anliker still has it. Anliker floats one towards the cage. Vic couldn't quite jump out of the way. He tried to clear it, but it hits his skate. Now Kinborn, robbed and stolen away by Price, and that'll spring KCG coming back, but there's a turnover. Vic threw out. Vic took it right back. Vic fires, saved by Kleinashe, and the puck goes into the corner. Still 2-1 our score, up to 25 shots from KCG, but only 1 goal recorded as we tick down to 5 minutes remaining in the third and final period. Here's Kinborn looking to put the icing on the cake. Kinborn, nice pass, turnaround shot from Hong Swati is stopped and covered by Toth.
Well, Gabor Toth and Ben Kleinashe both coming up with a couple of big saves there at the respective ends. That's why we have a low-scoring game tonight. These guys are on their game tonight. 2-1, 4:44 to go.
I think we're going to have a timeout called. Both teams obviously get one standard hockey rules, and I think this is going to be...
Yep, 30 seconds.
Yeah, 30-second timeout here called. I'm not sure who called it, but it doesn't matter. So, tell me, thoughts on the game so far? I would say that this has been a weird one in that it doesn't have the tension to me that you'd expect from a game that's this close, but maybe that's just because it's been so wide open and back and forth rather than, I don't know, I'm struggling to get a handle on this game so far.
Okay, I think because it's been a little bit sloppy. Both teams are playing with a few subs. Of course, KCG has their star players out. So they're scrambling a little bit, and we're seeing that in the play. The only threat is on one side is Ken Kinborn and Nick Lamson on the other side. Those are the only 2 threats for each team.
Face-off won by KCG, but it'll end up back in Lexicon Lumberjacks possession. Williams has it and goes right side to Saint-Denis. 4 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in this hockey game. A really big one. Lexicon Lumberjacks, the only team to have beaten KCG yet this year. That was in overtime earlier this season, looking to do it in regulation today and claw back a little bit of standings points. But still plenty of time left for the league's most explosive team. That is going to be called an icing as it skipped over David Boer's stick. He tried to say he touched it, but nonetheless, I want to thank our production crew this evening, although there may still be an overtime, so you may not be off the hook yet for our mid-game break. Executive producer of Hockey Night in Thailand is Keith Mueller. Our camera crew, Jin, Pang, Ellie, Opor, Tanya, and Sonia. The best in the business. I love going back and watching these games later. Not necessarily even because it's me. That's the worst part about the broadcast. I enjoy going back and watching because of how good the camera work and production is. And the hockey.
It's all good. Team effort by the guys on the ice and the guys up here, and the women up here.
There's a takeaway. Paul Stoddart had his head up as he was looking to spring a breakaway. It's now that time in the game for KCG where they've got to start making something happen. Nick Lamson trying to do it. Flings one between his legs back to no one. CV was there. But yeah, this is now playmaking time. If you're KCG, you're down a goal. And Lamson, speaking of playmaking, they forgot about him. Lamson fires! It is blocked and saved by Ben Kleinasche. The rebound goes to the corner. Everybody's still down on the ice. Kleinasche gets back up slowly. But man, interesting in that situation is that one saved by Toth back the other way. For the decision from Nick Lampson to go slap shot instead of trying to go breakaway move. But when you have a slap shot like his, why not do it, right?
It was a great shot and an even better save.
2 minutes, 15 seconds left. Here is Sukwibun towards the middle, gets the deflection from Vic, saved by Kleinasche. Puck still loose, Phelps holds the line, not out. Back behind the cage where Limpinpet has it bounce over his stick, and the turnover taken back by Kinborn means with 2 minutes left, Kim Arola has a quick 2-on-1 developing. Arola to the middle, and that shot is kept. Is that kept out? We have a whistle, and it is not a goal. That was Hong Swati, who very nearly iced this game. Because we are a one-goal game and less than 2 minutes left, the clock will now stop on whistles.
Yep, so we have 1:48 left. Another good save by Gabor, and he lost the puck. That was a quick whistle. I thought it should have, the ref shouldn't have blown the whistle there.
So I said this game maybe was lacking the tension you'd expect in one that's this close between these two powers. Not anymore. Last couple of minutes, we've seen more scoring opportunities than maybe the previous two periods put together. That one stolen by Lampson towards the middle, looking for the deflection from Limpinpet. You see him with his hands above his head. He knows he had that one if he'd kept that pass just a little bit lower. But instead, now we see Gabor Toth skating to the bench. It'll be an empty net. KCG brings out the extra skater. That one flung towards the cage, and sprinting after it is Hara to hold it in. 60 seconds left very soon here. That one towards the middle. It ends up on the stick of Sukwibun, and it's in!
Nick Lampson on the deflection. Wow, 1:01 left on the clock for this period.
14th goal for the league's top scorer, Nick Lampson. 25 points on the season, 2-2 the score with 61 seconds remaining in what is quickly shaping up to be perhaps the game of the year. Nick Lampson, you could see the last 60 seconds how much he wanted this one. That is the third.
Yeah, he came up big when he needed
Sorry,
to.
I was just listening to the announcement of who got credit for the assist. They only gave one assist on that play, and that's to Mancorn, which I believe from what we saw up here is correct. It was Mancorn's shot, Lampson's deflection, and in game number 4 of the day for Mancorn, he plays a role in the game-tying goal with 1 minute left. Game's not over yet, though. And ahead of everybody, look who it is. Here's 10, Limpinpet, and what a save from Kleinasche, who squeezes the blocker pads and gets that one stopped. Limpinpet was all alone. They found him leaking out behind everybody. And with 14.4 seconds left, we have a whistle and a face-off coming in the offensive end for KCG. 2 goals on 30 shots for KCG, 2 on 25 for Lexicon Lumberjacks. One last chance here. There's a shot rifled from Price, goes wide. 6, now 5, now 4. Fought for in the corner, and with 2 with 1, we have overtime.
Wow.
Well, that was a heck of a game so far.
So I think, we keep it here, or do we take a break here, Keith?
No, they're going to have, I think 1 minute here. We can go to a break.
Let's keep it here to be safe,
Okay.
yeah? Unless you've got bills to pay, I think I'd rather not miss any
Well, I have bills
overtime.
to pay, but...
Greg, I think we've never really gotten clarity on this, and it's partially my fault. Overtime rules. It is a walk-off winner, I assume, and then we have a potential... what happens afterwards? Do we have penalty shots?
I think so.
I'm not sure about that. I think it's 3-on-3 for 5 minutes. I don't know if there's a penalty shots after that, because there have been overtime wins, so I don't think we're a sudden death on that.
Okay, but it is sudden death, right, for this next 5 minutes?
It's 5 minutes, 3-on-3 sudden death, right. I'm not sure about the penalty shots at this point.
Well, I'll tell you, the last 5 minutes of that third period was wide open, back and forth, great saves, great plays, great passes, great shots. So I can hardly wait to see what's going to happen here in overtime.
Look, also, if you think about the goal scorers in this hockey game today,
Which there haven't been many.
which there have not been many, but it is the stars shining brightly. I mean, Nick Lampson, Ken Kinborn, Kim Arola. Really good hockey game. 2-2, league's number 1 against the league's number 2. KCG Lexicon Lumberjacks, the only loss this season for KCG in their 10 games before this one was an overtime loss to Lexicon Lumberjacks.
Let's see if we have a bit of deja vu here.
It is Omelka, Kinborn, and Arola on the ice for Lexicon Lumberjacks. For KCG, it is Lampson, David Bohr, and that looks like Christoph Anliker in there. And so those are the 6 skaters on the ice. Lexicon Lumberjacks possessed the puck. Kinborn was fighting for it. It's poked aside from Gabor Toth. And now the first opportunity, there's Lampson ahead of everybody, but the pass eludes him. Kleinische goes back to play it and makes a pretty smart decision by going backwards with the puck. That is a whistle. It'll be a penalty. I guess they'll call that a charging, or can't check that way here in the SHL, I suppose. And we're going to have an overtime power play. And this will be advantage Lexicon Lumberjacks. It's David Bohr skating off the ice.
Yeah, he did charge like a bull on that one. So I'm not surprised. That was probably the most obvious penalty call tonight. And it's a very hurtful penalty because it's in overtime.
And because the clock is rolling now, that means in the end, this is going to be almost the entire remainder of 5-minute overtime period favoring.
But now it's a 4-on-3, is that correct?
Lexicon Lumberjacks.
Yes,
it would be
one more
NHL rules. It would be 4-on-3. That's correct.
Yeah, they had one more player out there, yep.
We've seen 2 shorthanded goals in this hockey game and no power play goals. Just saying. Just saying. Don't count your chickens until they hatch, yeah? Arola has it. There's Kinborn and Dennis Omelka. Omelka fires save made by Toth. The extra skater for Lexicon Lumberjacks is San Denis. Other than that, it's the same 3 on the ice. Now here's Mancorn with it. Mancorn has Limpinpet next to him, circling behind the cage, short-handed for KCG. And Mancorn fought for the puck by Arola, who wins it and holds on. Kim Arola trying to spring Omelka ahead of everybody. Phelps gets back defensively. Omelka beats him to it towards the middle, and there's the game winner, Justin San Denis.
Nice goal, and again, he was in front of the net. And went right through Gabor's legs, and it was no chance for Gabor on that one. It was a nice shot, and of course, Justin was in the right place at the right time. In overtime with 2:17.
3-2, the final score. Lexicon Lumberjacks will move to 7-3-1. KCG falls to 9-1-1. I can't tell if I'm being told to sit down or stand up, but if I sit down, then everybody sees the donuts and the coffee all around me, and it makes me look like
We get paid double if they see.
Yeah.
All right, anyway, so final score today, 3-2 in overtime, the win for Lexicon Lumberjacks. I will say, Greg, as this was quite an entertaining hockey game, we don't have the benefit of live numbers. However, say all but maybe 10 minutes of game time, Lexicon Lumberjacks led throughout this one. So seeing them take this win, they led 1-0 throughout the middle of the first to the end of the second period, 2-1 until the final 61 seconds of the game. Lexicon Lumberjacks earned every bit of this win. KCG very nearly still clawed it out despite maybe 3 of their best players not being in the lineup today. Both teams can feel good about this. I'm not sure both teams will feel good about this.
Well, I think the only surprise of the game was the goal that came from Justin. It wasn't one of the 2 star players we've been talking about, although Justin is a star himself. But it was either going to be Nick Lampson or Ken Kinborn that both had points tonight, and we thought maybe they're going to do something in overtime. But it was Justin St. Denis. That was the only surprise. When I did look into my crystal ball before the game, I did predict that the Lumberjacks were going to win this one, and sure enough, they did. I didn't think it was going to go into overtime. I didn't think it was going to be this exciting or this low scoring, but that's what the SHL is all about, big surprises.
6th goal of the year for Justin Saint-Denis, who registers the game winner. Quickly tell me your takeaways of this one for both sides. For Lexicon Lumberjacks, how did they get this win? What was their strategy, and how were they able to hold the league's top scoring team to only 2 goals, even without Jan Isaacson in the lineup?
I think that's why. It wasn't so much that the Lumberjacks were doing things right, although they did play a great game. I don't want to take anything away from them, but it was the absence of the star players from KCG that really made the difference tonight.
Final numbers, 3 goals on 26 shots. I think the scoreboard's not updated, so we'll say 3 on 27 for Lexicon Lumberjacks. 2 goals on 30 shots for KCG. Both goalies' numbers are going to look good when this one's all said and done. And we'll tell you more about it when we come back with our broadcast for the second game, which will be just a little while from now. Greg, you're going to be here for that one too, yeah?
Absolutely. I'm not going anywhere.
All right. Well, I mean, we got donuts, we got coffee, we've got Keith, we've got the camera crew.
But we've got to go. We're going to go now.
3-2 our final. Lexicon Lumberjacks win their 7th of the year, and we have a pennant race brewing here in the Siam Hockey League. Game 2 just a few minutes away. It's Siam Mandalay versus Aware. We'll have that one for you right here. This is Hockey Night in Thailand.
This has been a presentation of Thailand TV.tv, winner of the SHL Golden Mike Award for Excellence in Broadcasting for Hockey Night in Thailand.